Hi, my name is Cy Porter with another tutorial, animation tutorial, and please to encourage me to make more of these tutorials, visit my website at solomation.com for free viewings of animation projects I'm working on. This tutorial is about more 3D effects for animation that you can apply to 2D animation, sometimes called 2.5D or 2.5D. Now, as you see here, as she's moving, and I have it in slow motion, her hair bun in the back is moving with the head, but it's actually imitating more of a 3D space. And I'm going to introduce to you a strategy I use for 2D animated heads where I can start to introduce objects, like if their nose, if they have, if I want to make their nose really stand out in 3D space, or I didn't do it with this head, but there have been times where I wanted to make the hair in the front really look 3D. As you can see here, the hair is moving just a little bit differently than the rest of the head and neck, and it's doing so in a way that starts to seem 3D-like, as if it's in 3D. And I'll explain how in After Effects I work that out. And I worked it out in a way to make it so that once I get it set up, I could introduce as many 3D elements as I want with little hassle once I get the main thing set up, because all I do is arrange it in a virtual 3D space and it'll imitate 3D movement. This is an advanced tutorial. I recommend that you find tutorials on introduction to expressions for After Effects and a introduction to motion tracking in After Effects to get more out of this tutorial. So let's go ahead and get started introducing you to that strategy. Okay, so here we are in After Effects, and what I have here is the animated head AVI file. And so the first thing that I did is I did a motion track. Over here at the tip of the nose, I did a motion track on it. You can see how it's moving around to get a track on the head movement. And I applied the motion track to a null object that I named bun down here. And what I have here are the keyframes from that motion track. So this null object, you can see, is basically following the movement of the front of the head here by these keyframes. And I created another null object. Okay, first what I did is I made all the objects 3D. And then I created another null object here called rotator. So this is the rotator object here. And I made sure that the motion track null object bun has the position parameters out, and then in the rotator I have the orientation parameters out, and then in the X rotation I hit Alt click on the stopwatch to open up the expressions, and I wrote down the expression 0 minus, and then I took the pick whip and I picked whipped the X position, the X position of the bun object. And X is basically the up and down position. And so basically what I did is I'm making it so that the up and down movement of the head will translate to rotating the X rotation of the null object I've titled rotator. And then what I did is I went to the Y rotation in rotator, and I alt-clicked on the stopwatch to open up the expressions box here. And then because a head rotates back and forth more than it does up and down, or appears to, I wanted to change this a little bit. So the expressions I wrote in was first y equals, and then I took the pick whip and I chose the position, the y position of the null object called bun, and then I divided that by 2. So basically I took that value and divided it in half, and then on the next line I wrote 0 minus y. So it's very much like the X rotation, except that the value is divided in 2. So now what I have here is I have the rotator null object, which, by the way, before I applied these expressions, I made sure to position down here. You can see basically it's in the Z plane as far as how far or close it is to the camera. You can see that it's the same distance from the camera as the head AVI, that is the head here that you can see. But then along the X and Y planes, I brought it down to position kind of around the area where a real head will pivot. That is where the neck goes into the head, kind of up from the jaw, below, around the nose, but not in the center of the head, lower down. And then, so now what I have is a null object that will rotate to imitate the movement of the head. Then what I can do is if I wanted to put glasses on her or hair, or, if I wanted to have her bangs here simulate 3D space, or if I wanted to do any 3D simulation on this head, I have it all set up. All I need to do, so what I've done is I brought in the bun object here. You can see it appear right here. You see that? And then what I did was I brought it back in Z space because the bun is behind the head. So you can see what I did is I went ahead and just brought it back here so it's behind the head. And then, so on the bun object, I took the pick whip and I parented the rotator null object to the bun object. That is, whatever the rotator null does, the bun will do. So the rotator null object will rotate around and the bun will follow it in 3, so this is, it'll simulate 3D. And as you can see here, now what I've got is, as her head turns, you can see the bun in the background behind the head moving, but not just moving along with the head. In the true spirit of 3D, when when the head moves, there will be a difference in how much the objects behind the head will move, and I can simulate that. And that's basically how I set it up. And that way, the expressions I need to write are for that one null object, and then I can bring in any other objects and put them in the 3D space, and they will move around the one head AVI here to simulate 3D space. And I hope that helps. And the reason I make these tutorials is to get the word out about my animation work at solomation.com. Please encourage me to make more tutorials by checking out my animation on that website and clicking like button, leave comments. All that good stuff will encourage me to make more of these, and I hope your animation goes well. Have a good day.